Alex Pereira is known as one of the most feared strikers in kickboxing, who then moved over to MMA and became UFC champion. With just 4 fights in the UFC, Poatan has scored 3 nasty knockouts and dethroned the dominant champion Israel Adesanya, using vicious strikes to damage his opponents. Today I'm going to take a look at how he developed as a kickboxer, and then look at how these skills transitioned to MMA, going over some of his most iconic wins and changes to his style over time. Some people would refer to Alex Pereira as a boxer who learned how to kick. While he is better known for his hands, Alex would kick even in his earlier fights, but there has been a change over time. In his earlier years, Alex was a lot more aggressive and would consciously throw kicks with more power. He'd also attack a lot more with his hands and occasionally would even stand a little hunched over, which implies a more forward, aggressive style. In his earlier career, his kicks would have a lot more wind-up and conscious power put into them, so his opponent could see them coming and then defend. He would throw kicks with more power, but less results. Nowadays, and we saw this in the Adesanya fight, he doesn't throw as so much wind-up, but over a long fight, the damage still ends up dramatically. In my opinion, it's better to throw a strike with 50% power and have it land, than throw a strike with 100% power and miss. The strike won't land with full impact, but at least it lands. You can see here how he has less wind up when he throws, but because there's less of a telegraph, the kick actually lands and it's overall more effective. It ends up being that the kick with less telegraph is the one that ends up causing a finishing sequence. Even though he kicked a lot, Alex's punches were what he built his game off. As I said before, he was a lot more aggressive when he was younger, and it wasn't until a bit later on that he really started to become feared. In his later kickboxing and MMA career, Alex seems a lot more patient than he used to be. He carefully picks his shots more than he used to, and his aggression seems a lot more calculated. If you watch highlight reels of him, it's filled with these knockouts that seemingly come out of nowhere, but leaves the opponent motionless. What caused this minor but crucial change? I think it's a combination of two things. Reason one, of course, being that his constant training and fighting for over a decade in kickboxing, transitioning over to MMA. Of course, training consistently over many years, increasing accuracy, speed, fight IQ, experience, all of these are going to improve Alex Pereira as a fighter. But there is something else. Many fighters have knockout power, but there's few who have a KO reel like Pereira. He's an incredibly skilled striker and possesses unreal power, but there's another factor to why he's taken so many people out. His confidence. Alex has power to knock you out, and he knows it. His style change was subtle, but what I think happened is, as his confidence in his power grew, he didn't need to go chasing a knockout. He didn't need to be overly aggressive, because an opening would eventually present itself, and when it did, he knew he had enough power to put the lights out. In his fight with Adesanya, he does a great job of cutting Izzy off, preventing him from moving laterally. He does this by standing quite square in his stance, facing Izzy as he cuts him off from the fence. Alex doesn't overextend in his shots, so it's harder for Izzy to angle off him, as his body remains square in front of him. In MMA, this also kind of works as a first line of defense for takedowns. Many reactive wrestlers will try to duck under to shoot, so when a fighter overextends and throws a looping right hand, it's a perfect opportunity to shoot. From the limited footage we've seen, Alex hasn't got the best takedown defense, which is understandable since he only has 8 MMA fights. In kickboxing, Alex would use the clinch to land knees, but in MMA, he hasn't had as much success. I think mainly because everyone in the UFC is just so much better in the clinch, but also because the clinch itself wouldn't get broken up like it does in kickboxing. However, if we're talking about knees, Alex's flying switch knee ended his first UFC fight. Similarly to what I said before, Alex uses his upright lateral movement to cut off his opponent, giving him an opening up the middle to land nasty shots. Alex's left hook is also a great way to stop opponents moving laterally, which is actually how he captured middleweight gold. If we take a look at one of his later kickboxing fights with Artem Vahitov, I think we can see why Alex's striking style has shifted quite well into MMA. In this fight we can see two very different styles, with Artem marching forward, always with a high guard, and Pereira with a more flowing hands-down style, moving smoothly and picking his shots. There are multiple times in the fight where Alex will land a combination onto the guard of Vahitov. This hands-up style may work for him, but in MMA, this typically doesn't work for a few reasons. The main one is that MMA gloves are 4 ounces and barely cover up your face. It's much easier for fighters to punch through the guard, around the guard, and even place head kicks around the guard. Alex's kickboxing style, in my opinion, is the best striking style in MMA, a sport where movement and accuracy is a lot more practical than a plodding, hands-up style. Alex Pereira is one of my favourite fighters in the world to watch. He's someone who has you at the edge of your seat the entire time because of how quickly he can put the lights out. We know that he's going to struggle with grapplers, but with Glover Teixeira training him full time and Alex's genuine love for combat, I only seeing his grappling improve over time. I'm going to talk more about his fourth fight with Adesanya in the prediction video I'm going to make, so stay tuned for that if you want to hear it. Just one last thing, I want my videos to get better and improve in quality, but at the same time I do want to keep uploading consistently, so if you do watch my videos, thank you, I appreciate it, and I promise that over time they're going to get better. In the meantime, thank you for watching this video. If you have any thoughts, feel free to leave a comment, and thank you for watching.